Oh, I like what I'm seeing so far. The Draven as the mirror match breaker. We've seen it from the previous Kai'Sa matchup that we saw earlier in day one, and it did good. It did good, especially in the situation when we're talking about Arena's greatest being as battlefield number one for game number one. It's going to pay dividends later on as you get closer and closer to that 8th point. So I wouldn't blame him to keep it. Usually Draven more so known for that late game capabilities, but I
Yeah,
wouldn't blame him keeping it since it is Arena's
yeah,
greatest.
that's actually the moment that you don't like, where I have once 2 time warps in my hand with Ari, and it was a matchup where I knew I needed time warp, but I also knew I could not keep one because right now I needed some other things, so I had to recycle my 2 time warps, hoping that I would hit the third one. Yeah, there are times where there are certain cards that you don't want to have in your hands because you don't want to recycle them, but you don't want to have them right now either. So it's a tough call.
And I love how
Is
these
this
guys pointed
two
at
falling
Arena's
stars?
greatest to activate it, because we saw earlier in the tournament it is a missable trigger. If you don't say I'm getting the +1 from Arena's greatest, a rule shark or a judge could rule it that you missed the +1, which can be a big difference when all things said and done. It looks like
Yeah,
Kai'Sa.
and at this point of the competition, you can be sure that people won't say anything.
No, yeah, exactly. They're letting you miss that trigger all day long. But let's see if he's gonna follow suit. From these mirror matches, they tend to be doing the same play, but I like the odds of this Pouty Poro, as you said. Oof, the Falling Stars number 1 coming down, taking down the Kai'Sa survival from their opposing Kai'Sa, and Pouty Poro keeping it simple, going after the Void Gate, getting himself up to 2 points. Sentry doesn't have enough might, and this is a mirror breaker type of Kai'Sa. You have the Draven in the main board, you have
And
multiple Pouty Poros. I like
what
this
was I
Kai'Sa.
talking about? What was I talking about?
Oh yeah, you know it very well. You knew exactly what this Kai'Sa would need to really get an edge, and as early as turn 2, it looks like she has a bit of control, confident control so far of the game.
The poros will make the difference. Cause now, what you gonna do? You're gonna recycle one
Even a
rune every time.
Stupefy. He had to do Stupefy on the Poro, so recycling one never feels good to do.
It didn't recycle.
He should have recycled. The judge is right
Yeah.
there.
It didn't recycle.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Everybody missed it. Everybody missed it. Congratulations, guys.
No, he had to recycle. There's no way.
No,
we'll look
because he
back.
tapped only one. So that means, look, he got 5 tap, 2 from the sentry, 2 from the.
Oh, he used the Kai'Sa
red guy.
ability. Of course. The deflect could be paid with the power from Kai'Sa.
Really? I never know. No, Kaisa is only the power from your spell.
It looks like that's the ruling, since of course the judges are right there, so I'm assuming they know, and he did tap it. I guess it counts just... Wait, but it says... Oh, no. Stupefy is a spell. So it makes sense.
Okay. You can use the Kaisa to... I didn't even know that.
Hey, that's why we're here to learn and see how these interactions go. And it looks like using it to the best of your ability. So Pouty Poro maybe not as ideal, but it still costed him the Kai'Sa ability, so it wasn't able to capitalize on anything further. So chooses to develop the board, plays out the Sentry, plays out the Legion, or the Noxious Hopeful rather. Now passing it over to the other. And he does get accelerated. So Kai'Sa going into Arena's greatest, going all the way to 3 already. Does he want to send the Poro into Void Gate, going up to 4 himself? And
Yeah.
he does. These guys are playing quick.
Yeah, he's got a Draven in hand, guys. So every point that he's scoring, it's not that it counts the ball, but it's gonna make the big guy even scarier.
You know, Leroy, if this guy was able to pick the first couple cards to come off the top of his deck, it would look exactly like this. 2 Falling Stars, 2 Pouty Poros. Everything he would ever want in the mirror match. Seems to be quite fortunate in our game 1. He's looking very good Super good and looking like he has the upper hand. Let's see if there's anything our AI player could try to get done. Stupefy again, playing the deflected cost one more time with the legend. Oh, and this is going to sting a little bit. Darius is that second card played
Yeah.
out this turn, so does get Accelerate, or like Accelerate, going into Arena's Greatest, taking out Kaiser. Now there's no units on the board, and I didn't get to see how many cards are left for this Kaiser in hand, but has the upper hand in terms of points, but not too far
Oh, look what
behind. What was
the
that?
Icatian Rain.
Oh, ouch.
So now he can probably just develop peacefully, and next turn just fire it on everything. Oh no, he's not going to wait.
Yeah, no time like the present. Getting it off now. Uses the legend ability as well, so everything going down. There was only 5 total might on Arena's Greatest, but now, I mean,
I
that
don't know
was
because
everything you could do that turn.
yeah, and you use there were 2 ticks of Icatian Rain that were not used, so I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could have waited one more turn.
Yeah, perhaps that could have been a little bit more optimal, but deciding to not let his opponent gain any additional points, which could be quite valuable and impactful as well. So I don't blame him for letting go of the Cathian Rain
Oh,
right
and the
there.
Darius that arrives just now, that will be able to shut down the case.
Yeah, there are 4 runes available for the opposing
Oh, and
Kaiser.
he has the third falling star.
Oh, that is ridiculous. 3 falling stars in the first couple turns. Never feels good. I always say if your opponent has 3 falling stars, good luck, wrap it up and go to the next game. So we'll see if that applies for this situation as well. Does he want to use it? And that he does. It's just a simple recycle 1, man.
He's just spamming the spells.
Okay, does get saved though with the retreat, so channels 1 brings the accelerated Kaiser back in hand. That feels good if you're the AI Kaiser. Darius will be that second card since you just played Falling Stars, so will enter ready, but decides to not go for one of the battlefields. That is an interesting decision because he's prioritizing gaining points, but kind of scared of a potential Watcher. Maybe a Void Seeker if he did decide to go into Void Gate, but why didn't he want to send it into Arena's Greatest? Do you think he's just potentially scared of an opposing Darius maybe?
Yeah, I think he wants to keep the ability of Darius to have +7 when you get in to trade with a Watcher. And yeah, I think the idea was like go on a battlefield next turn, drop the Draven, and then come back.
Okay.
But he really didn't play around Falling Star.
Yeah, and it looks like the AI Kaiser taking a page out of the opposing Kaiser's book. So back and forth with these fallen stars. And speak of another spell, Void Seeker coming into the Kaiser's direction. No retreat in hand this time around, so that will be hitting the trash pile. Is there any units to develop? And there is. That is the third Pouty. Wait, no, did he retreat one? No, I think that's all 3 he's been able to play out.
Yeah. So he had the 3 Falling Star and the 3 Pouty Poros.
Wow, unbelievable. Like I said, if he was able to design his first couple cards, it would look something similar to what he got fortunate enough to draw this game. But not looking bad. Of course, another Falling Stars could be huge for him, but it's gonna come at a big cost because you can't pay the power and the deflect cost from the legend ability. So something to keep in mind. Could just choose. Oh, I wish we could see his hand a little bit better. I'm not too sure what he has.
And you don't want to play your Watcher on empty battlefields. That always hurts.
It looks like he might be having to play it out. Goes for the Watcher just to develop a 7 might unit, just to
Maybe
have something on board.
Maybe he has another one in hand.
That has to. I think you're totally right. Usually when you see a play like that, there's another one roaming in the distance. Has a Cleave and a Draven, so this is tricky. Those Cleaves aren't going to be doing too much on the defense. I think the best you can do...
Yeah, but he should maybe have used the Cleave preemptively, knowing that he would be shot. This being said, yeah.
Wow. So deciding to go into the Void Gate every time, I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't make too much of a difference. Each of those spells would have been more than enough. And saving the cleaves, I kind of like what you were saying, Leroy. Maybe preemptively getting one of those cleaves off would have been enough to
yeah,
save it, though. It would have been enough for the Hex Ray, but it wouldn't have been enough for the
yeah.
Void
But if you
Seeker.
go on the arena's greatest, it
Oh,
would
true.
have been
What are we
enough.
talking about? Absolutely. It doesn't gain the attacker status. Of course, of course. That's exactly why he
Oh
withheld
yeah,
it.
no.
Yeah, we talked about that in a previous tournament. I know that play came up, so of course, just slightly
Yeah,
forgetting
yeah,
since it's
yeah. Of
getting late
course.
in the evening or morning
Yeah,
at this
and
point.
yeah. I don't know. I'm so.
No, don't even worry about it. So let's see. It's back to the AI's Kaiser. He let go of a Watcher, has a Darius coming in tap, a Legion. I keep saying Legion rearguard, but it's gonna be Noxious Hopeful coming out for 2, activating the Darius, and just like his opponent decided to do, he's gonna be withholding the Darius in the base. Scared of that Draven coming down into the Void Gate, but now Draven total might being 7. That's currently even. Cleave is online now, so could go for a simple cleave on the Draven to take care of the Watcher. Are you a little bit worried about some spells coming out from your opponent? Because there's 2 runes. One of those
Yeah,
could be a Ray.
and yeah, and now he's going to use it right now before he gets shut down by a bajillion spells. Uh,
This
he's still
Draven
in a
could be
really
pretty
tricky
good
position.
to hold down Arena's greatest.
Oh, and the time warp.
Oh, that's GG.
He's
That's
going to
GG,
see it.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, wait.
I
Yeah,
say
yeah,
GG,
yeah.
but of course the Void Gate adding the
Yeah, but
bonus might making a
yeah, no,
massive
because
difference.
he's got the cleave in hand, so Darius can just capture the.
Yeah, the Void Gate, and then you play Time Warp, and that's GG.
Yeah, exactly. Why is he thinking so much? He's like, why if I take a Void Seeker and so on? I
He's
get the idea, but
wait, he's going for Watcher. I think he's going for the Watcher line just in case there's a Void Seeker. But no, even Void Seeker wouldn't get the job done. I guess he has 1 card in hand. What 1 card would do 7 damage on the Darius? I think he might be
the
overcomplicating
Darius is
things.
still at 5 right now.
Oh, because there wasn't a second card played, of course.
This
Every
being
time
said,
I
he could have played. No, he could have played the Tamwat first. That's 7. Wait, did he play? No, he didn't play any card first. Oh yeah, so no, he could
either
not.
way, closing
Yeah.
things out with the Darius Watcher combo at the very end. So AI, as we said before, one of the prominent teams coming out from China, Riftbound, looking to hold up to the reputation, getting 1 game up against his opponent.
You make a perfect point, but I'm thinking about the idea of a safer line. The line that he took, it was exposed maybe to smoke screen.
Okay.
Whereas in the other one,
Yeah, because there was just 1 card, right? So you just had to think about what
yeah,
1 card could do the damage. And there wasn't
so
very much,
Draven was at
especially with the time warp play. But either way, got it
Draven
done.
was at 10, right? So Darius goes at 7. No, the Draven was in the outline 7. Yeah, yeah. So he was exposed to smoke screen, I think. So I don't think that was the safer line.
You're saying the Watcher line was exposed to smoke screen?
Yeah, the Watcher line was probably exposed to smoke screen. I mean, you would trade even. I'm not sure. I'm a bit lost in the maths.
Yeah, we would have to look back. It looks like Reaver's Row and Dreaming Tree will be the second battlefields for Game 2. Reaver's Row most likely coming out from... Actually, Arena's Greatest was the AI battlefield, right?
Weirdly enough, yes. Because it felt like the other deck was really aggressive. While this one had a time warp, so it was clearly like the entire roughing. and he's like, I don't care, I will beat any other deck.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Dreaming Tree is going to be benefiting both of these guys. Actually, both of these battlefields. We're talking about a mirror match here. So these guys are going to be able to fully utilize both of these battlefields each and every turn. Maybe perhaps one better than the other if they have a little bit more combat tricks. Things like Stupefy. Most Kaisers tend to run 3 of each, though. Perhaps where the difference is made is in the amount of retreats. Some decks only run a few retreats, some decks electing to run all 3 retreats, and that's the case. One of these decks might benefit a little bit more from that Dreaming Tree. So kind of similar as we saw in game 1, does get the Kaiser off early. And so does his opponent. So let's see if he decides to conquer in the Yordle. There is a Reaver's Row, so might not be too smart to go for that unless you're forced to push it back, because conquering Reaver's Row kind of makes your own Kaiser safe from opponents' attacks as well. So I could see it either way. You could keep it simple or try to prep, because I mean, I say safe, but we're talking about a spell heavy deck, so it does go for a Reaver's Row just in case. But Kaiser's never truly safe when you're thinking about cards like Void Seeker.
Yeah. The amount of spell is a good thing when you play against Reverse Row, because you can shoot the units before they get away. And yeah, both battlefields really good for Kai'Sa. Let's see what they can do. Again, he seems to have a great hand. I see Darius. I see what must be a Cleave. 7, there's a Watcher. The Nicathean Rain, there's a Falling Star. So
Yeah,
he's got
I saw a lot
Spur.
of great cards. He had a Cathian Rain in there. He had Falling Stars. I believe he even had a Time Warp in the back.
And a Sprite Mother.
And a Sprite Mother. Yeah, that looks like the sideboard tech coming into play. We'll see that that little extra aggression is going to make a difference for him in game 2.
See here, why didn't he play the Sprite Mother? I get the idea of developing the Darius, but since you can't accelerate it, I'm not sure about that. Maybe using the Sprite Mother would be better, no?
Yeah, that way you're able to put 2 points on the board. But maybe just forcing, he's saying if you have something like a Falling Star. Oh no, he had Hex Ray. So, ooh, that is an interesting choice. We don't get to see that. I think that's Cloak. Or Leroy, do you remember this card? I don't get to see it too often.
Yeah, but okay, this one does not enter tap. No, that's Orb of. Isn't this like Orb of
I'll find it for us. Oh, the Orb of Regret. That's what it is. So let's take a look.
I was Orb of Harmony. It's Regret. Isn't it the same thing in the end? Yeah.
So give a unit, you exhaust the gear, give a unit -1. So it's basically a Stupefy in a form of a gear. So you could recur a Stupefy every turn. That is some tech. I have yet to see a Kaiser use an Orb of Regret. It seems valuable. Kaiser tends to run 3 Stupefies in every deck. So it's almost like running extra Stupefies. And it only costs 1. I'm wondering why we've never seen it too often before.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it does not enter tapped, so like the Ballista that does 2 damages enters tapped, whereas this one does not, and the Ballista is at 3 and this one is only at 1. So that's pretty strong.
Yeah, it's basically the exact same thing of a Stupefy, with the exception being you don't get the +1 draw. But with that caveat, you get it every turn. So it seems pretty valuable for Kaiser, especially when those breakpoints are so tight. Oh, the Cathian Rain. You said you wanted more targets for the Cathian Rain. That's plenty. That is plenty of targets. 3 total. I think he's going to be able to get everything out of the board. He does retreat the Yordle back in hand. Is that a double? Oh, of course, because it was the Dreaming Tree, so drawing so many cards right there. It almost looked like he drew 1 too many, but drawing 1 for retreat, or not drawing 1 for retreat, channeling 1 for retreat, and then drawing 1 for being on the Dreaming Tree.
Oh no, it drew into mini because the other one had already passed, I think.
No, he drew one for Sentry as well because the Sentry
Yeah,
died.
I know, but it didn't draw like 3 cards. I felt like he drew 3 cards and he drew like his normal card. Anyway, all right. So now both of battlefields are empty, and it feels like again the AI player is in a much better spot.
Wow, and keep in mind that Kaiser on the left was the starting player, so this is impressive showing from this Kaiser. Usually the Kaiser on the draw feels like he's always on the back foot, but pushing the pace and being the aggressor in this situation, despite getting a Cathian Rain, still looking to have firm control of this game. Has the Darius on Reaver's Row, you love to see it, able to protect it. The only thing that's able to get him down is going to have to invest something like a Falling Stars. I believe he did have it in hand,
Yes.
but that's a big investment nonetheless.
Yeah, but it's been 2 games that he's lagging behind in terms of runes, and so he has trouble developing, and he's lagging behind in terms of point, and yeah.
Decides to invest the Falling Stars onto the Darius, better than trying to contest Reaver's Row, so you have to do what you have to do. Goes for a Yorda to try to see what else he could draw off the top, and it's going to be a Ray, not too bad. Isn't able to keep a rune up for the potential Ray, but of course there's no units defending battlefield, so it doesn't matter. So just getting more board presence online, and now it looks like with the Sentry, we'll be going up to at least 5 total points. If he has another accelerated unit, it looks like he does, either a Darius or a Kaiser. So it does go to Reaver's Row, and man, Reaver's Row probably the best battlefield for these Kaiser players. So AI Kaiser going up to 6, exactly where they want to be. 2 more points away, and to make matters worse, oh my goodness, you could probably wrap up, scoop your cards of Falling Stars, completely eliminating the back line, and things are going from bad to worse for the opposing Kaiser. AI, he was in his firm driver's seat. He's almost looking like he might be able to close things out the very next turn.
Yeah, I really don't see any comeback line right now for the other player.
I mean, if there's a little glimmer of hope, there is that Acathian Rain that just got top decked for him, but that's still gonna be costing him the entirety of his runes. So
yeah, that's what's happening. It's like there was no moment where he accepted to lose a little bit of like tempo to gain some runes and to be ready on the boards to use the tempo that would gain afterwards. And he was so hasty to remove every single units that, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, quite
because now he does
hefty.
that, and now there's again another accelerate. It goes up to 7, and he will have to remove it. And then, yeah, see, the tempo is just going in one way.
Yeah, one way indeed. We're looking at the margin from these points ever so slightly going, going even greater. So 6-2. Let's see what kind of board presence says keys. The Cathian Rain did remove everything. And is that a Watcher most likely coming in? It is. Watcher,
Yeah.
Ravenbloom, and a Noxious Hopeful. We're talking about getting the board going. This is the way to do it. You're looking
And see-
pretty poised to conquer 2 battlefields the following turn.
We are talking about good Cathian Rain. That would be, you add a Stupefy to that and you can kill everything.
Oh, yeah, let's see. But he already did 2
Yeah, he
Acathian
already played
Rains.
it, but that's what I'm saying. Like, his Cathian Rain killed not nothing, but
It had to
so
be necessary
little.
though, because I think if he did an Acathian Rain, AI would have
yeah,
won already.
he was losing last turn, but it feels like every time AI was using a spell, it had double the effectiveness of his opponent.
And
Maybe
yeah, look
I'm
how
like-
serious he's looking. He's like, I am looking to go into top 8. You know, that is a big price split difference. I have to look back. I think it's almost double the price. So he, you know, he might be looking like he wants to take it all the way. I like this gear of what's it called? The Orb of Regret. I'm trying to think how helpful that is against Master Yi. Maybe not too impactful against Master Yi, but he does have Arena's Greatest to try to expedite the game plan against the Dazzling Auroras. So perhaps he still feels pretty confident in that matchup. The GG, the hand has been extended. AI Kaiser taking it down in our top 16 match, and quite convincingly as well.